Hello, everyone. So, we are here to talk all things tax resolution, and I am really excited about this video training because I get so many questions on consultations from taxpayers around what is this Fresh Start program? I've seen it on TV. Do I qualify? So, this training here for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about the IRS Fresh Start program. I'm going to explain it to see if it's something that can help you with your tax resolution journey. So let's get into it. All right, so what is it, right? So the IRS Fresh Start program is an IRS initiative that helps taxpayers, right? If you are struggling with back taxes, if you have had, history around, interest, penalties piling up, you've received letters from the IRS around previous tax returns where you owe and they're constantly increasing that, the Fresh Start program may be for you. So, what is it, right? Well, it offers payment plans, settlements, lien relief to taxpayers who qualify, and it is designed for both individuals and small businesses. So, who qualifies, right? So, first and foremost, if you owe less than $50,000 in tax debt, you immediately qualify. Now, that does not mean that you don't have options if you owe more than $50,000. I deal with tax resolution well above 50,000 with my clients daily. There are still options for you, very similar to the Fresh Start program. The Fresh Start program just is merely kind of a simplified version of what comprehensive tax resolution can be. So if you owe $50,000 or less in tax debt, also if you can prove financial hardship. So this is where you are going to have to do a little bit of due diligence and put together your tax support package around why maybe the standard tax resolution options that the IRS has offered to you are not going to work with your current financial situation. Okay. And most importantly, and this is kind of a recurring theme around all different tax resolution options, you have to be up to date on your tax filings. Okay. I never want anyone to sit on the phone, right, for hours trying to get in touch with an IRS representative just to be told, well, you haven't filed 2023 or 2022's tax return. I can't help you. Okay. You have to be compliant with your tax filings. If you are not if you're not compliant, you have to wait for this. Okay. You have to, step one is always get all open tax returns filed. Okay. And then you move into the tax resolution phase, especially with the Fresh Start program here. So what are the key benefits? So of course, lowering your monthly payment, right? Or setting up a monthly payment if you have not had one previously, okay? Again, I do a lot of consultations where clients were placed into tax resolution options, which were standard, right? So maybe it was, oh my gosh, I owed $50,000. My payment is $800 a month, but Tiffany, I cannot consistently pay that anymore. Okay. I need a lower monthly payment. You are able to modify that through this. Again, if you can show that financial hardship and support the lowered monthly payment. Of course, avoiding tax liens and levies. So a lien is going to be kind of a bill placed on an asset, right? So a lot of times you've heard of like property tax liens. Essentially what it means is if you were to sell that asset, right? If you were to sell your home, that tax lien would have to be paid out of whatever profits or sales proceeds you get there, right? They attach it to an asset. A levy is probably one of the scarier ones, and I have a crazy story here. That's just where the IRS, they warn you, all right, we are going to take this money out of your account. Please work with us to get something in place before we do that. And then they just take the money, right? This is not a wage garnishment, which is I guess a calmer option of this. A levy is I'm taking the money, I'm going into your bank account, I'm taking the money. And I had they weren't a client. We had a consultation I had with someone, they owed like $350,000. And they had already received the letter for levy, and they, kind of waited and waited. And I told them, I'm like, listen, the IRS is going to go into your bank account when you least expect it and take this money. So you want to work with them to get into a payment plan to avoid that. You don't want them to just go in and take the money. And essentially what happened was maybe a month or two later, got a call, a frantic call, a tearful call from this lead that the IRS did exactly that. They just took all of their money and, was asking, well, what can I do now? And I'm like, well, at this point, they've received their money, and unfortunately, it's going to be a crazy, rare uphill battle to try to get it back because you owed it, right? And they took it and they gave you ample time. And we're talking not like you've got 10 days or we're taking the money. No, this is upon months and months and months before that happens, that action happens. So we want to avoid liens and levies at all costs. And then, of course, a key benefit is going to be settling that tax debt for less, right? The goal always, at least with the clients that I serve and that I represent, the goal is not just to get into a settlement plan. It's to reduce the amount outstanding owed. And we can do that many, many ways. And the Fresh Start program does have keys and key features of doing that. So you're going to settle that debt for less than, you might owe. So how to apply. So 3 steps. I love the 3-step process for many things. So how to apply. So step 1, you've got to gather all your tax debt information. So the best option is, if you don't have it already, to create an e-services account with the IRS. It is free to create that, and it has all of your tax records there. Once you get access to that, you are going to have to gather all your tax debt information, and you're going to have to do some analysis, right? It's not going to be kind of clear cut, like here's a form that tells you, everything that's going on, especially if you're looking for like penalty abatements and am I qualified for those types of things, which I'll talk about on future trainings. But you need to gather all your tax debt information. So you're looking for account transcripts, wage information, all letters that have been received from the IRS. And you're going to need to analyze, okay, how much do I owe? What's the breakdown of principal, interest, and penalty? What do I qualify for in terms of any penalty abatement? And then also, what realistically can I afford to pay monthly, or can I afford to pay in a lump sum? And that will, of course, run into step 2, which is choosing the best relief option for you. Installment plans, offering compromises, currently not collectibles, innocent spouse relief, etc. There are many options. Again, I will talk about that on a future training. Figure out which one is best for you. Submit the forms related to that option along with your supporting documentation, okay? Especially if you're going to go into some modified payment plan, you are going to have to prove financially that this is sound, right? This is what makes sense given my current financial situation. Common mistakes to avoid. So again, before we even get to resolution, you have to make sure all your past tax returns are filed. So failing to file will stop you in your tracks. You have to get that done first. Then applying without proof of financial hardship. The IRS will reject your, offer, whatever that is, or your installment agreement if you cannot prove to them the financial hardship. Okay. And of course, ignoring notices on all IRS and trying to, apply, but not kind of working with them and things like that. So common mistakes to avoid, make sure you, don't go down those common pitfalls. So taking action today. So step 1, check if you qualify. Step 2, gather your tax documents and start the application process. Time is of the essence, okay? We don't want the IRS to just start deciding things on your behalf, okay? You want to be a part of that process, because I'm telling you, the IRS, when it's left up to them, you are going to be very, very sad on the outcome for that. So if you need, assistance professionally, I am here to support you. I do, though, hope that this training has given you just a little bit more information around, okay, what is this Fresh Start program I've been hearing about? Do I qualify? And how much can my tax bill be reduced? And that's a big question I always get, like, oh well, I owe 40,000, like, can I get down to 2,000? um Likely not, but there's probably some wiggle room in terms of not having to pay 40, right? But you do have to do the work. You do have to do all of that background analysis to figure out for your specific case what it would look like, what it can look like, because it's going to be different for everyone, right? Everybody has a different tax scenario. Everybody has different financial situations going on. So you are going to have to tailor it to what you are going through. And that is where, if, like I said, you are open to working with a professional, a tax professional, I am here to assist. This is what I do every single day. So I look forward to hopefully working with you in the future. And again, thank you for joining, everyone.